Hello and welcome to GPS. My name is Dr. Jim Quigley, Managing Director of Calf Notes Consulting and author of the calfnotes.com website, and also author of the newest member of the Calf Notes Consulting family, the Calf Growth Prediction System, or GPS. Thanks for your interest in the program. I'm sure you'll find it can provide you with information and insights into calf nutrition that have never been available before. GPS will help you improve diets for young calves, optimize their growth, efficiency, and their welfare. This Getting Started introductory video will get you on the road to success with the program. Well, let's get started. To demonstrate some of the features of GPS, let's go through a typical calf feeding program and integrate it into GPS. We'll enter both the liquid and dry feeds and allow GPS to simulate growth and calculate the calf's performance. Here is our example milk feeding program. On day 1, we'll feed 4 liters of colostrum at birth and then 2 liters about 12 hours later. On days 2 and 3, we'll feed 5 liters of transition milk each day. Then we'll switch to a calf milk replacer. From days 4 to 14, we'll feed 5 liters of milk replacer that's 26% protein and 17% fat at 13% solids. This calculates to 650 grams of solids per day. On day 15, we'll increase the milk replacer amount to 8 liters and continue until day 49, maintaining 12.5% solids to provide a kilo of solids per day. Finally, on day 50, we'll reduce the milk fed to 6 liters in preparation for weaning. On day 56, we'll wean the calf. Our dry feeding program looks like this. From days 3 to 60, we'll feed a pelleted calf starter with 18% protein and a high starch content. Then we'll transition to a 16% protein calf grower starting on day 50 with a 10-day overlap of feeding both starter and grower. We'll continue feeding the grower until the end of the simulation on day 122. On day 45, we'll begin offering free choice oat hay and continue until the end of the simulation. Okay, let's begin entering the liquid feeding program. I'll navigate to the top menu and select the liquid program option. Here I can choose either the nutrient composition or the feeding program. Let's start with the feeding program and select the liquids for the calf. This nutrient grid displays the names of each feed, their costs, and the quantity to be fed. Let's select the feeds for our simulation. Within each cell, I can choose from the feed library, which offers various liquid feeds. I'll start with colostrum, opting for the 22% Brix colostrum option. Each feed has different nutrient concentrations, and higher Brix concentrations contain more protein and fat. For feed number 2, I'll choose transition milk, selecting an 18% dry matter option from the feed library. Lastly, I'll choose calf milk replacer from the feed library. I'll now assign costs to each feed in my liquid feeding program. For colostrum, the cost is set at $3 per kilo, transition milk at $1.5 per kilo, and milk replacer at $3 per kilo. These costs should be adjusted to reflect local market prices. Now, let's define how these feeds will be administered. The columns at the right of the cost column represent different feeding periods. We begin with period 1. Each period includes 3 columns: the start day, end day, and the quantity of liquid fed. For colostrum, we'll feed 6 liters per day starting on day 1 and ending on day 1. For transition milk and milk replacer in period 1, we'll also set the quantity to 0 grams per day. Period 2 spans from day 2 to day 3, during which we'll feed 5 liters of transition milk per day. For colostrum and milk replacer, the quantity remains at 0 grams per day. Moving to period 3, from day 4 to day 14, we'll feed milk replacer at 650 grams of powder per day, based on an air-dry basis. Period 4, that is day 15 to 49, will increase the milk replacer powder to 1 kilo per day. And finally, period 5, day 50 to 56, will see us offering 750 grams of powder per day. Subsequent periods in the nutrient grid will all be set to 0 grams offered per day. Note that up to 20 different feeding periods with various feeding steps can be configured. Within the feeding program now entered into GPS, I'll click OK at the bottom of the window. Next, let's examine the nutrient content of the liquid feeds by selecting the nutrient composition menu and opening the nutrient composition box. This grid mirrors the feeding grid exactly, displaying dry matter, crude protein, fat, ash, ADF, NDF, and more. Each nutrient's value can be adjusted to match specific feed recommendations if needed, but for now, I'll keep them at the library values. We've completed the liquid portion of the program. Let's move on to the feeding grain and forage. The grain program is straightforward. I'll select the feeding program option to view the dry feeds in our ration. The feeds listed are calf starter, 18% protein, and calf grower, 16% protein, both of which can be selected from the feed library. Moving to the right, we see the cost per ton on an as-fed basis. The feeding program for starters is simple, with only the first and last days offered. For the calf starter, I'll start offering it on day 3 and stop on day 60. For the calf grower, I'll begin on day 50 and continue until the end of the simulation on day 122. Notice that I overlap the starter and the grower feedings from days 50 to 60, assuming a 50-50 mixture of both feeds during this period. The last column in the feeding program is the maximum offered, which allows us to cap the maximum amount of any feed offered during the simulation. When I've set the maximum to 9 kilos per day, I assume calves won't reach this amount within the first 4 months and assume ad libitum intake. Really, I could set this number to 99 with the same effect. Setting this value to 0 would prevent the calves from consuming that particular feed. To view the nutrient composition of the grains, I'll simply check the corresponding box within the nutrient grid. This will show me the nutrient content of each feed, which can be adjusted if necessary to reflect the farm's specific feed composition. For now, I'll keep these values at the default settings. Moving on to the forage program, I'll begin with the feeding program option. Here, oat hay of mid-maturity is the only forage offered. As with the other nutrient grids, I can select from various options available in the feed library. In the feeding program, I'll set the cost per ton, the first and last days each forage is fed. In this simulation, I'll start feeding oat hay on day 45 and continue ad libitum until the end of the simulation on day 122. The maximum column is also set to 9 kilos a day, indicating we want calves to have ad libitum access. There's one additional column in the nutrient grid for forages. When offering forage for ad libitum consumption, we estimate the proportion of dry matter consumed as forage. Here, I've set this value to 10% of total dry matter consumed, which is a reasonable estimate for dry forages of moderate quality. Note that while individual calves may consume more or less of this estimate, GPS uses a single value to represent overall forage consumed during ad libitum feeding. Remember, I can switch back to the feeding program view by checking the appropriate checkbox. Here are the nutrient contents of the oat hay we're feeding, approximately 8.5% protein and 59% NDF. If needed, I'll update these values based on the forage analysis specific to the farm. My final task is to enter information about the calf and farm. I'll navigate to the calf and farm menu and select the calf and farm option. Here I'll enter the birth body weight of the calves, mature body weight, and other relevant parameters. For this demonstration, I'll leave the other parameters at their default values. Notably, temperatures here are in degrees Celsius, with 20 degrees indicating no thermal stress on the calves. With all inputs into the simulation completed, we can now examine the results predicted by GPS. Let's start by reviewing the performance screen located at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. This screen provides production-oriented information about the ration. Along the top are production calculations, including the total cost for the entire simulation, total weight gain, total average daily gain, and overall feed efficiency ratio. Moving right, we see the intake of liquid, dry feed, and total dry matter. Lastly, we have the cost per unit of gain for the entire trial, which is calculated at $2.67 per kilo of body weight gain. The performance screen includes several charts such as body weight, average daily gain, cost, feed efficiency, liquid and dry feed intake. Each chart provides data from birth to 2 months, 2 to 4 months, and birth to 4 months of age. The large graph to the right displays daily changes in body weight, the light blue line, and intakes of liquids, grains, and forage. This chart is instrumental in visualizing the changes during the calf's growth. Notably, in this simulation, post-weaning, there's a noticeable drop in the predicted body weight gain, indicating a potential problem. To further analyze this, we can refer to the speedometers, which offer insights into specific metrics, such as weaning age and body weight doubling. Adjustments to the weaning age from 56 to 63 shows improvements in body weight gain aligned with target growth rates, albeit with some increased feed costs. This demonstrates how small changes in the feeding program can influence overall performance metrics. This demo highlights how GPS can help refine calf feeding programs. The system provides ample tools to fine-tune both energy and protein intake, as seen in the MP requirements and supply chart. By adjusting protein levels after weaning, we can avoid post-weaning growth slumps and improve overall growth rates. Well, that will do it for this video. Feel free to visit other parts of the GPS knowledge base to learn more about using the program.